The deadliest breakfast food. It seems harmless, it's on millions of tables every day, but it's one of the biggest enemies of your heart, your arteries, and your blood pressure. Today you'll discover what it is, why it's so harmful, and how to replace it without giving up a delicious meal early in the morning. And before we continue, take the opportunity to subscribe to the Vida Longa ao Coração channel, like it, share this video with someone you love, and comment below which city you're watching from. This simple gesture helps spread life-saving information, and who knows, it could even be the difference between someone close to you avoiding a serious heart problem. Imagine the scene. You wake up, still feeling lazy, and the smell of freshly baked bread fills the kitchen. It's almost irresistible. You grab that crusty French bread, cut it in half, and spread a generous layer of margarine, which melts instantly. To top it off, a slice of ham or mortadella, and on the side, a glass of iced juice or a coffee sweetened with 2 or 3 spoonfuls of sugar. Sounds like the perfect breakfast, doesn't it? The problem is that this combination is a veritable cocktail of substances that silently attack your body right from the first hours of the day. French bread, so common and seemingly harmless, is made from refined wheat flour, which is quickly converted into glucose in your body. This causes a sudden spike in blood sugar, forcing the pancreas to release a high dose of insulin to try to balance levels. This process, repeated daily, not only wears down your metabolism, but also promotes the accumulation of abdominal fat and increases the risk of insulin resistance, a dangerous step toward type 2 diabetes. But the problem doesn't stop there. Margarine, often chosen for its affordability or its creamy appeal, is loaded with trans fats and refined vegetable oils that inflame the body from within. These fats build up on the walls of arteries, forming plaques that harden and narrow the blood flow. Over time, this process, called atherosclerosis, can lead to critical clogging, resulting in a heart attack or stroke. And what about processed meats like ham and mortadella? Besides containing high amounts of sodium, which causes fluid retention and raises blood pressure, they're also rich in chemical preservatives like nitrites and nitrates. These substances, when consumed frequently, can cause cell damage and increase the risk of stomach and bowel cancer. Furthermore, excess sodium forces the heart to work under pressure, literally every day. Now, if you think that carton juice is the healthy part of a meal, you're wrong. This type of juice, for the most part, is composed primarily of water, sugar, artificial colors, and flavorings. Even the light or nectar versions contain high levels of sugar or artificial sweeteners that, while they don't spike blood sugar in the same way, can confuse the body and stimulate greater cravings for sweets throughout the day. This combination, white bread, margarine, processed meats, and processed juice, not only raises blood pressure and bad cholesterol, LDL, but also increases inflammatory processes throughout the body. And the most alarming thing is that all of this happens silently. You don't feel pain, you don't see any immediate signs, but every day your body accumulates small lesions in your arteries, hardening the vessels and overloading your heart. Studies show that people who start the day with meals rich in refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats, and sodium are more likely to experience blood pressure spikes throughout the day and have greater difficulty maintaining their weight. Not to mention the impact on energy. Just a few hours after breakfast, blood glucose levels plummet, causing drowsiness, poor concentration, and that almost uncontrollable urge to eat again, starting a vicious cycle of hunger and weight gain. Another important point is how the body reacts to this type of meal over the years. If you're 30 or 40 today and think, it's okay because you're feeling good, know that the cumulative effect of these choices is relentless. Arteries don't clog overnight, but rather with small deposits of fat that accumulate year after year. By the time you finally notice symptoms, shortness of breath, chest pain, palpitations, the problem is often already at an advanced stage. The good news is that it's possible to change this situation without sacrificing the pleasure of eating. Small substitutions can transform your breakfast from a mortal enemy to a health ally. choosing real whole wheat bread, and here it's important to emphasize real, as many breads sold as whole wheat contain more white flour and sugar than fiber, is already a big step. Adding seeds like chia or flaxseed to the dough or choosing low-salt tapioca with healthy fillings also helps maintain a more stable glycemic index. Swapping margarine for a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil or a natural avocado spread provides good fats that help reduce bad cholesterol and protect the heart. Replacing processed meats with boiled or scrambled eggs, which offer high-quality protein and prolong satiety, is another simple but powerful change. And as for drinks, nothing beats water, unsweetened tea, or freshly squeezed juice, preferably with less sweet fruits like lemon, passion fruit, or acerola. By adopting these changes, you start the day giving your body what it truly needs to function well: quality energy, nutrients that strengthen rather than harm, and a real chance to protect your heart from silent but devastating diseases. When we say that the classic breakfast of white bread, margarine, processed meats, and carton juice is one of the most dangerous for your heart, we're not exaggerating. What happens to your body immediately after eating this meal is a veritable emergency for all vital systems, especially your cardiovascular and metabolic systems. Understanding this process is crucial for you to realize how much a simple daily habit can be shortening your life without you even realizing it. As soon as you take your first bite of French bread, the refined white flour quickly transforms into glucose, which enters the bloodstream at high speed. The pancreas, sensing this sugar avalanche, releases insulin to try to control glucose levels. However, insulin is a hormone that, when released excessively and frequently, begins to generate a problem called insulin resistance. In this state, cells don't respond well to insulin, and the body needs to produce more and more of this hormone to keep glucose levels at acceptable levels. This is one of the first steps toward type 2 diabetes, a disease that, in itself, dramatically increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, and heart failure. Meanwhile, the margarine you generously spread on your bread is releasing trans and saturated fats that travel through your bloodstream and deposit on your artery walls. These fatty plaques not only narrow the diameter of your vessels, hindering blood flow, but can also rupture. When this happens, the body forms a clot to plug the damaged area, but this clot can completely block blood flow, resulting in a massive heart attack or ischemic stroke. Sausages, in turn, add a brutal load of sodium to your already overburdened body. Sodium retains fluids, increases the volume of circulating blood, and consequently forces the heart to pump harder to cope with this internal pressure. This not only increases the risk of chronic hypertension, but also causes micro-tears in the vessel walls, which become more susceptible to the accumulation of fat and calcium. The result over time is arterial stiffness that makes the cardiovascular system less efficient and more vulnerable to failure. And then there's the carton juice, which, contrary to what many people believe, isn't real juice. It's composed mostly of water and sugar, with small amounts of fruit pulp and artificial additives. This extra sugar, consumed along with the refined flour in bread and the salt in processed meats, creates a perfect environment for systemic inflammation. This inflammation is silent, painless, but erodes the health of your organs every day. Now think about the repetitive effect of this. We're not talking about a single event, but a daily cycle that repeats itself over weeks, months, years. Each morning begins with high glucose, high insulin, unhealthy blood fats, high blood pressure, and widespread inflammation. Your body can handle this for the first few years, compensating with extra effort, but over time, its defenses wear down. The pancreas loses efficiency, the liver accumulates fat, the arteries harden, the heart loses strength, and, when you least expect it, symptoms such as fatigue when climbing a few stairs, palpitations, chest pain, or shortness of breath in simple situations appear. And don't think that only overweight people are affected. There are many men and women who appear thin but have serious internal problems resulting from chronic poor nutrition. So-called metabolic obesity occurs when a person doesn't accumulate much visible fat, but has a large accumulation of visceral fat, the fat that surrounds organs such as the liver, pancreas, and heart, and is extremely dangerous. Another critical point is how this diet affects blood quality. High intake of sugars and unhealthy fats makes blood more viscous, meaning thicker. This denser blood circulates more difficultly, increasing pressure in the vessels and overloading the heart. Furthermore, viscosity increases the risk of clot formation, which, if it migrates to the brain or heart, can cause fatal events. It's also worth remembering the hormonal impact. Excess sugar and unhealthy fats, combined with excessive salt consumption, disrupt the body's hormonal balance, influencing everything from appetite regulation to the production of stress-related hormones like cortisol. Cortisol, when consistently elevated, worsens insulin resistance, increases blood pressure, and contributes to the breakdown of muscle fibers, including in the heart. And the most shocking thing, many of these changes occur silently for years. You wake up, have your usual breakfast, and go about your life normally, thinking everything is fine. But deep down, every meal is laying the groundwork for serious illness. When the signs finally appear, it's often too late to completely reverse the damage. Therefore, understanding this mechanism and acting now is the best decision you can make. The change doesn't have to be radical overnight, but every substitution counts. Swapping white bread for whole wheat bread, margarine for a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, ham for a scrambled egg, processed juice for water or natural tea. Each of these choices will take a burden off your heart and arteries. What's more, by changing your breakfast, you take the first step toward changing your entire day. Starting with a healthy meal directly influences how you eat in future meals. You'll feel less hunger pangs, better control your blood sugar, maintain stable energy levels, and avoid binge eating. In other words, it's not just your heart that thanks you, your entire body functions better. Changing your breakfast isn't just about cutting out unhealthy foods, it's also, and most importantly, about putting on your plate what nourishes, strengthens, and protects your heart. The first thing many people think when they hear swap white bread is, but what am I going to eat instead? The truth is, there are dozens of tasty, practical, and much healthier options that will not only satisfy your hunger, but also supply your body with essential nutrients for cardiovascular health. Let's start with bread. We're not talking about simply choosing any whole wheat bread from the supermarket, because many of them are fake whole wheat, with white flour as the main ingredient and only a little bit of whole wheat flour to mislead the label. It's crucial to check the ingredient list. The shorter and simpler, the better. Ideally, whole wheat flour should be first, and there should be no added sugars or unhealthy fats. 100% whole wheat, naturally leavened, or even homemade breads are options that provide fiber, help control blood sugar, and keep you feeling fuller for longer. If you like variety, tapioca can be an excellent alternative as long as it's used in moderation and accompanied by clever fillings. Pure tapioca is basically starch, so to make it more nutritious, add chia, flax, or sesame seeds to the dough, or make a version with a blended egg, which increases the protein content and reduces the glycemic impact. Another critical point is replacing margarine. This is one of the most harmful ingredients in traditional breakfast foods, as it's rich in artificial trans fats created during the hydrogenation process and directly linked to increased bad cholesterol, LDL, and reduced good cholesterol, HDL. Instead, use a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, which is rich in monounsaturated fats and antioxidants, or prepare an avocado spread seasoned with a little lemon and salt. Avocado, besides being delicious, contains good fats that protect the arteries, reduce inflammation, and help keep blood pressure under control. And what to substitute for processed meats? The answer is simple: real protein. Eggs are one of the best options to start the day. They can be boiled, scrambled, poached, prepared with little oil, and combined with natural seasonings like oregano, pepper, and turmeric. Besides being rich in high-quality protein, eggs provide choline, an essential nutrient for brain health and fat metabolism. Another option is fresh white cheese, such as ricotta or Minas Padron Light. as long as consumed in moderation and without excess salt. As for beverages, the goal is to cut out hidden sugar. Swapping carton juice for water is always a good choice, but for those who miss flavor, you can prepare a natural fruit juice with more water and less pulp, using low glycemic fruits like strawberries, kiwi, or lemon. Another great alternative is unsweetened natural teas, which can be enjoyed hot or iced, such as hibiscus tea, green tea, or chamomile tea. They offer antioxidant compounds that help reduce blood pressure and protect blood vessel walls. It's worth remembering that coffee, in and of itself, isn't a bad thing as long as it's consumed without sugar and in moderate amounts. The problem is that most people add large spoonfuls of sugar or excessive artificial sweeteners, turning a neutral beverage into a trigger for blood sugar spikes and anxiety. For those who can't drink coffee straight, one tip is to use ground cinnamon, which adds flavor and also helps control appetite and blood sugar levels. But the change isn't just on the plate, it's also in the mindset. Breakfast should be seen as a time to fuel the body for the day, not as a space for daily indulgences. Eating something tasty is important, of course, but flavor doesn't have to be tied to ultra-processed foods. With a little creativity, you can create delicious and functional combinations. For example, whole grain bread with chickpea paste, tomato, and green leaves, an omelet stuffed with spinach and white cheese, or even a bowl of plain yogurt with fresh fruit and seeds. By changing your breakfast, you also positively impact your energy and productivity. A balanced meal, rich in protein, fiber, and healthy fats, keeps your blood sugar levels stable, preventing that sudden energy crash that makes you want to eat anything mid-morning. This means more energy to work, train, or perform daily tasks, without putting too much strain on your heart. Another benefit of these replacements is the gradual reduction in blood pressure and bad cholesterol. Studies show that by reducing the consumption of trans fats and simple sugars and increasing fiber and antioxidant intake, inflammation markers decrease, arteries become more flexible, and the risk of cardiovascular events consistently decreases. For those who have difficulty making changes, a good strategy is to make changes gradually. Start by swapping just one element per week. The first week, change the bread. The second, replace the margarine. The third, swap the processed meats for eggs or white cheese, and so on. This gradual process helps the palate adapt and increases the chances of the change becoming permanent. And remember, eating well doesn't mean eating without pleasure. The pleasure comes from knowing that each meal is working in your favor, protecting your health and giving you more years of quality life. The first few days after changing your breakfast may seem too subtle for you to notice any significant results, but internally, your body is already starting to react. When you eliminate refined flour, trans fat, and excess sugar from your first meal of the day, your blood glucose levels stabilize, preventing sudden spikes and drops that leave you feeling tired and hungry. This stability reduces the strain on your pancreas, helps control insulin, and begins to shift your body out of a state of constant inflammation. After a few weeks, the changes become more evident. Blood pressure tends to regulate itself, especially for those who already had high readings upon waking. This happens because you're no longer flooding your body with sodium and unhealthy fats before you even start your day. Blood vessels, previously constricted and rigid, begin to regain some of their elasticity. This allows the heart to pump blood with less effort, which means less wear and tear on the heart muscle. If you include more fiber, such as whole grain breads, fruits, and seeds, you'll see a significant improvement in your gut function, which also directly influences your heart health. This is because efficient waste elimination and a balanced gut microbiota reduce inflammatory substances circulating throughout the body. Less inflammation means a lower risk of plaque buildup in your arteries. Within 2 to 3 months, the body begins to show changes in laboratory tests. Bad cholesterol, LDL, tends to decrease, while good cholesterol, HDL, increases, helping to clear the arteries. Triglycerides, which rise sharply with excess sugar and simple carbohydrates, also decrease. This is a clear sign that the change in breakfast is directly impacting the body's fat metabolism. An important detail is the impact on body weight. When you cut glucose spikes early, you avoid that vicious cycle of excessive hunger throughout the day. The tendency is to eat less at lunch and snacks as the body is truly nourished and satisfied. This gradual weight loss, especially of abdominal fat, is one of the most important factors in reducing the risk of heart attack and stroke, since visceral fat is metabolically active and is associated with chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. The benefits don't stop there. By maintaining a balanced breakfast, you also promote brain health. Spikes and dips in blood sugar are linked to memory lapses, difficulty concentrating, and even mood swings. A nutritious breakfast ensures stable energy for your brain to function well throughout the morning, increasing your productivity and mental clarity. Within 6 months or more, the change becomes a permanent part of your lifestyle, and the results become even more profound. Many people report that they no longer miss their old breakfasts loaded with sugar and unhealthy fats. Their taste buds adapt, and their bodies recognize and prefer lighter, more nutritious foods. At this stage, the chances of developing hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease decrease significantly, and this isn't just perceived. It's something that shows up in tests and in overall vitality. It's also worth highlighting the effect on sleep and rest. When you start the day with adequate nutrients and without overloading on sugar and fat, your body better regulates hormones throughout the 24 hours. This means that melatonin is released more efficiently at night, helping you sleep better. Quality sleep is essential for tissue repair, balancing your metabolism and protecting your heart. There's also a psychological aspect that can't be ignored: the feeling of control over your own health. When you realize you're consciously choosing what you put on your plate, you develop a different relationship with food. Breakfast stops being an automatic moment and becomes an act of self-care. This new mental pattern often spreads to other meals and choices throughout the day, reinforcing a positive health cycle. Another relevant factor is the impact on blood circulation. Over the months, reduced plaque buildup and improved vascular flexibility allow blood to reach all organs and extremities more efficiently. This not only improves overall health but also increases physical endurance, stamina, and even sexual health, as erectile function and natural lubrication depend on good blood flow. But it's important to remember that while breakfast changes are powerful, they work even better when combined with other healthy lifestyle choices. This includes regular physical activity, stress reduction, and quality sleep. Together, these habits create a solid foundation for a stronger heart and a longer life. And here's the most valuable point: this transformation doesn't have to be radical or expensive. Heart-protecting foods are available at any market or fair, and they're often cheaper than ultra-processed foods. What really changes the game is consistency. There's no point in making healthy choices only a few days a week and then going back to the deadly breakfast on the others. Prevention happens every day, and every meal is an opportunity to take care of yourself. Over time, this silent change, which began with a simple change in your first meal of the day, becomes an invisible safeguard that stays with you for decades. This is how a habit, so small at first glance, can save lives, including yours. The true victory over the deadly breakfast isn't just about replacing it with healthier options for a few weeks, but rather about making this choice as automatic as brushing your teeth. To do this, you need to understand that the body and mind go through an adaptation process that goes far beyond taste. Initially, it's natural to miss the taste, smell, and even convenience of the ultra-processed foods that were on your plate every morning. This sensation isn't just emotional, it's also chemical. Excess sugar, trans fat, and salt stimulate areas of the brain linked to immediate pleasure, creating a kind of addiction. The good news is that, just as the body has become accustomed to harmful foods, it also learns to love what's good for you. The secret to maintaining this new habit is creating a supportive environment. This starts with what you put in your home. If your pantry and refrigerator are full of white bread, margarine, processed meats, and boxed juices, temptation will be a daily occurrence. Therefore, the first step is to clear your kitchen of these villains and replace them with alternatives that truly nourish your body. Having fresh fruit, eggs, low-fat cheeses, real whole grain breads, seeds, and nuts on hand makes it easier to make the right choices even on the busiest days. Another key point is learning to vary. Always eating the same thing, even if it's healthy, can lead to boredom and, with it, relapse. Explore different recipes: tapioca with natural fillings, colorful omelets with vegetables, plain yogurt with fruit and sugar-free granola, green smoothies, or even a simple whole wheat bread with avocado paste and natural seasonings. This variety keeps the palate stimulated and reinforces the feeling of pleasure when eating. It's also important to recognize the emotional triggers that can lead you to fall back into old habits. Many people use food to compensate for stress, sadness, or fatigue. At these times, it's common to reach for something quick, comforting, and full of sugar and fat. Identifying these moments and developing strategies to deal with them, such as drinking a glass of water, walking for a few minutes, or preparing a healthy and tasty meal, is essential to maintain the progress you've made. As the months go by, it's natural for temptations to diminish. This is because your body begins to feel the real benefits of the change: more energy, better mood, less bloating, more balanced health checkups, and even improvements in your skin and mood. These results become fuel to stay on the right path. It's at this point that you realize it's not worth sacrificing your health for a few minutes of fleeting pleasure. To cement the habit long-term, it's helpful to set non-food goals and rewards. This could mean buying new walking shoes after 3 months of maintaining the routine, investing in a healthy cooking class, or planning a trip. These rewards create a positive connection with the effort made and help reinforce motivation. It's worth remembering that no one is perfect. An occasional slip-up doesn't mean failure, but rather an opportunity to learn and get back on track. The problem isn't eating French bread or ham on a special occasion. The danger lies in allowing it to become the norm again. What defines success is consistency, not extreme rigidity. Another powerful strategy for maintaining a habit is sharing this journey with others. Having a partner, friend, or family member who's also willing to change makes the process easier and more enjoyable. Cooking together, exchanging recipes, and celebrating achievements creates a sense of community and support that helps you get through the discouragement. Finally, staying informed is crucial. Reading about nutrition, watching educational content, and listening to health professionals reinforces the importance of your choices. Knowledge is one of the most powerful weapons against the return of harmful habits. When you understand the impact of each food on your body, it becomes much harder to justify the presence of bad foods on your plate. What started as a simple breakfast change can and should become a symbol of self-care and respect for your body. Every healthy meal you eat is a reminder that you're investing in extra years of life, time with your family, energy to achieve your dreams, and most importantly, quality of life. This change is the beginning of a virtuous cycle that, if maintained, not only protects your heart but also strengthens your entire body. Now that you know how to avoid the deadliest breakfast food and have strategies to maintain this healthy habit long-term, it's time to put it into practice. Your heart, your arteries, and your entire body will thank you for every day you choose to eat mindfully. Don't put this off. The time to act is now. And before I end this video, I want to remind you, if this message resonated with you and can help others, subscribe now to the Vida Longa ao Coração channel, like this video, share it with your friends and family, and comment here which city you're watching from. This simple action could reach someone who needs to hear this warning today and, who knows, save a life. See you in the next video.